Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Kanikapila Monday live ukulele jam with me, Matt Stead. How the devil are you all? Hope you're all keeping fantastically well, and the sun is shining where you are, and we're back for a lovely ukulele jam. Kanikapila, get us going. My favourite time of the week is Mondays, and I love seeing you all, seeing how you're all doing, sharing some music. So it's lovely to be with you guys. Don't forget, you can still download the worksheets. They're completely free and they're available in the comments and in the description as well if you would like them. Thanks as always to Karen and Esther and Barbara and Nudrani for all their help with everything. They look something like this for this week. No, they don't. That's the Scales reference ones. They look hopefully like this on the road. So these are the ones we're doing this week. Just a few things to tell you about whilst everyone comes in and says hi. Hi Tim, me too, mate, me too. I don't know if you saw Tim. I did a little tribute to Brian today, a little written tribute on the group. And next, the next Kanikapila in a fortnight's time, we're going to do a whole tribute to Brian Wilson. So the whole of the lesson, we're going to do Brian penned Beach Boys songs, which I'm really excited about. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's a really sad news we had last week that Brian Wilson, leader of the Beach Boys, passed away after a battle with dementia. So really, it was really quite sad. So we're going to, rather than be sad about it, we're going to listen, add some music to our day, and we're going to play some Beach Boys stuff and really enjoy it. So that's going to be in a couple of weeks' time. The next, hi Lisa, hi Suzanne, hi Buzzy Bee. What a cool name. Yay, Beach Boys songs. And there's some lovely ones, Leslie. We're going to do a real mix. We can do some Pet Sounds stuff, but we're also going to do some like early stuff, Warmth of the Sun, which is really beautiful, and some later stuff as well. So it's going to be loads and loads of fun. We haven't got a live lesson this week because we have one every fortnight on a Wednesday. The next one is going to be the week after next, and I'm going to try and answer the age-old question: should we use a high G or a low G on our ukulele? And I'll give you a quick spoiler. Actually, I think it's horses for courses, and I think there are some songs that sound better with one and some songs that sound better than the other, but we're going to delve into it in a lot of depth, and as well as kind of explaining about the advantages and disadvantages of both. I'm actually going to show you kind of different types of low G strings, wound low G strings versus unwound, and how they can sound better and worse, and which ukuleles they suit, which genres they suit, and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to really go into it in a lot of details, which I'm looking forward to. That's a week on Wednesday, which is going to be fabulous. So yeah, brilliant. Me too. Right, so what else did I need to tell you about? Oh, and of course we'll be back next Monday as well, where we've got our Melodic Mondays, where we work on melody playing. And I'm really excited about this one because we're going to work on a beautiful piece called All the Things You Are, which is absolutely gorgeous. Probably my favourite bit of jazz music, actually. And then just finally, there's a new Beatles lesson on the website, Let It Be Ukulele Tutorial, which you can find up there. I am working on a chord melody version of the same song, which will be coming soon. This one's a strummed one, but hopefully it'll be available soon. I'm just working on finishing the arrangement. Okay, let's have a look at tonight's sheets, and I'll kind of talk you through them a bit, just in case you've not done Kanikapila before, and as a bit of hi Linda, and as a bit of a reminder of how it works. So remember, we oh, this one's going to be fun, isn't it? we might lose our voices after the first song if you're singing along, because this one's quite raucous, isn't it? So every key has 7 main chords that we use. We call them the diatonic chords. That just means they derive from the scale. And a composer will pick maybe 3 or 4 of those chords, sometimes as many as all 7, but generally just sort of 3, 4 or 5 chords from there. And each of those chords, no matter what key you're in, has a personality. So one chord is the chord that makes you feel at home, and in this case that's G. Kind of think of it as the chord that makes everything feel resolved and finished. Then we've got the 2 chord, which in the key of G is A minor. You could just use the fingers on your hand to help this, I find. So we've got A minor as the 2 chord, and that one's a minor chord. But it's not terribly sad. I kind of think of it as like a touch of melancholy, that one. Okay. Then we've got the 3 chord, which is the saddest chord of all. And this isn't a sad song, so we're not using it. And you'll be relieved because in the key of G, it's a B minor, which is a bit of an awkward one to do, isn't it? Then we have the 4 chord, which just creates a sense of change without too much tension. I often refer to that as a change chord, don't I? So in a lot of folk songs, they'll just go between the 1 and the 4 chord. You probably recognise that instantly. 5 chord creates a sense of tension, so it tends to come at the end of a line and it makes you want to go back to the 1 chord. So that's called the dominant if you're into all the posh names. The dominant makes you want to go back to the tonic, 5 to 1. Then I'll just go for the others quickly, might as well whilst we're in the key of G. We've got the 6 chord, which again is a bit like the 2 chord. It creates a sense of melancholy. This one's a submedian. It likes to move to the 4 chord or back to 1. And then finally we've got the diminished chord, which is the 7 chord, and that's a bit of a weird sounding chord. In this case that would be in F sharp diminished. I don't think the diminished chord's going to come up in any of the songs we play tonight, because that tends to be used for jazz music and horror films, you know. It's got that kind of scary feel to it, hasn't it? So we're going to think of these chords in terms of personality. We might have a go at playing in a couple of different keys just to show you how brilliant it is when that works. Now this one, this was written by the Proclaimers, the Reed brothers, in 1988. Apparently they wrote it in 45 minutes on the train. How amazing is that? You can read all about that in Karen's brilliant, fascinating facts in the back few pages of your sheets. And they've gone through somewhat a bit of a renaissance recently because of the film Sunshine on Leaf. I don't know if anyone watched that film. It's really joyous. So put my dentures back in. The Proclaimers are kind of getting really big again, which is really sweet. So let's have a look at what's happening in this one. In terms of the chords, it's really straightforward. So we've got a G chord. In fact, the intro is just a G chord over and over, and in the original there's a nice bit of slide, sort of a kind of stompy guitar over this bit. Okay, and interestingly, just ever so quickly, look at the intro to our next song. Exactly the same. 4 measures of G. So that means you just play G for four measures. Let's have a look at the verses. We have the 1 chord, sets you out on a journey. 4 chord for a little bit of change. Notice my little tip there that when I go from the G chord to the C chord, I like to keep this finger still down and just drop this one in here like so. It's a really neat way of, sorry, I'm just going to come in a little bit closer. It's a really neat way of smoothing out that change. Then we go to the 5 chord, which makes you want to go back round again. Okay, so we got 1, resolution, change, tension, home. Resolution, change, tension, home. And that's a verse. It's really nice and simple. You'll all know that from the songs. Let's just do a couple so you can see. When I wake up, well, I know I'm gonna be the man that wakes up next to you. When I go out, I know who I'm gonna be the man who goes out with you. So on and so forth. So really, really simple. And then in the chorus, we just take that and we just stretch it out. It's basically the same thing. But notice we finish on the 5 chord on each line, and that just really creates this nice sense of movement. Makes us want to keep going round and round and doing it again and again. So that will look and sound like this. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man there's any of you that are singing along, especially ladies, and I don't mean to stereotype or anything, but generally this is in a good key for the female voice, because you guys can sing a bit higher than us chaps, right? So when I'm going, I would walk 500 miles, just see if you can sing really loud on that bit, because I find it really hard to reach those notes. Now that gives us something cool, right, that I wanted to show you just quickly as a bit of a kind of a by and by. Say I wanted to try this in a lower key because that's too difficult for my voice. So say I wanted to change it into the key of C. This is one of the powers of this way of doing Kanikapila and those chord qualities. You can work out the chords really easily in the key of C using the Nashville numbers, right? So let's see if anyone in the comments, it'll take a while to catch up, can say what you think the 3 chords we use will be in the key of C. See if any of you can get the Teacher's Pet Award for tonight. Just scribble them down in the comments. It's always a bit of a delay, so I'll kind of show you in the meantime, and then you can get some retrospective praise. So the 1 chord in the key of C, of course, is going to be the 1, isn't it? When I go out, I know who I'm gonna be. Then the 4 chord, C, D, E, F. I'm gonna be the man who. 5 chord, C, D, E, F, G. Goes along with you. So there we go, we got C, F, G, C. When I wake up, I know who I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. If I get drunk, I know who I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk with you. So on and so forth. Absolutely fantastic. So you've got the hang of it, guys. So brilliant. Yeah, that could be played as a G7, that last one, guys. I'm just going to keep it as a normal G if I was playing it in the key of C. But yeah, absolutely fantastic. And Karen, don't worry, I knew what you mean by E minor. That was going to the relative minor, which was also cool that you know that. So just perhaps in the comments, let me know if you're starting to remember those 1, 4, 5 chords. So you can count on your hand, but I've got so used to playing this way now that I can pretty much think of a key. So like the key of A, it would be A, D and E. I can think of a key and I can just say the 1, 4, 5 chords, and that's really powerful because those are the 3 most important chords in any key that come up. So really, really neat. And well done, guys, you're all my teacher's pet tonight. It's absolutely fantastic. Let's carry on in the key of G so we can have a look at the next section. Basically, that's everything you need to know apart from the final verse, where it kind of comes to the final few choruses. It starts the same way 3 times through this. G, I know who I'm gonna be the man who's lonely without you. We'll do it again. When I'm dreaming, what I know I'm gonna dream about the time when I'm with you. And then one more time. When I go out, what I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. And then one more time, when I come home, as I know I'm gonna be the man who comes home with you. Gorgeous E minor on the 4th go. And then A minor D7, gonna be the man who's coming home with you. Isn't that lovely? So those minor chords, they suddenly arrest the song's movement and they add a touch of melancholy, which is really, really beautiful. Notice we haven't got the 3 chord, which is the saddest chord of all, which can be a little bit too much. Just the 6 and the 2. And that creates a lovely 2-5-1 combination at the end, which is used in a lot of jazz music to create movement. Isn't that lovely? Now, in terms of strumming, this one's really easy. I kind of think of it as kind of stompy, right? We want a kind of stompy feel, really upbeat, and imagine those kind of big guitar chords and everything. So remember how I like to think about things phonetically? What we're going to do is when we strum down, we're going to do down, 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 up, down, up. Now, if you think about that, you might get a bit worried about, am I on a down? Am I on an up? You know, that kind of thing. So the best thing to do, think about it as walk, walk, running, running, walk, walk, running, running, walk, walk, running, running, walk, walk, running, running. Now, why are we doing that kind of pattern? Why have I chosen that one? It's not an arbitrary thing. It's because it gives that stomp feel. If I really exaggerate it, like, so on and so forth, it gives it a real kind of punch at the start, that pow, pow, strum man, pow, pow. And that's what this song needs. It needs that punch at the start of each measure, which is really nice. That's why we've done it that way, rather than say the island strum or calypso. So just think, walk, walk, running, running, walk, walk, running, running. Yeah, you got it. Now this one, I don't think we've got any solo opportunities in this one, because the interlude, which is the bit where you generally get an instrumental, well, the Reed brothers filled it up with lots of da 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 da. So you guys all know that part, right? So there's not really an opportunity to solo. If you did want to solo on this one, you could use the G major pentatonic or E minor, but don't panic, there will be a chance to solo in the songs later on this evening. So don't worry, you will get to do the best solo ever. Okay. So the interludes where it says da la da da la da 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 dum diddly diddly. Now you can sing whatever you want there. I sing dum diddly diddly, but you could kind of do whatever you want. La la la's, whatever works there. This you're just going to strum for this one the chorus chords. All right. So where it says da da la da, just strum these da da da. Yeah, you get the idea. So that's just the chorus bit. Okay. So in terms of the structure, we've just got intro, which is just a G 4 times. Verse, chorus, and then an interlude. Remember, that's just the chorus chords. And then a final verse where we've got those lovely minor chords coming in back here. If you forget them, don't sweat it. I'll kind of try and give you the nod. And then finally, another chorus, another interlude, and another chorus. So when you get to these last three bits, just keep doing those chorus chords here again and again and again. You'll soon pick it up because it's so repetitive. It's really nice the way this works. All right, let's crack on with it and try our first song then, folks. I think I'm just going to try and move my chair up and maybe pop this down. Yeah, so you can see what I'm doing on my uke. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, fantastic. Here we go then, guys. So let's get that stompy intro going. So you're ready. I'm just going to bring the lyrics up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two more of those. Here we go. When I wake up, I know who I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. If I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes. Oh, sorry. I'm gonna try that again. I'm so sorry, folks. I got totally distracted. In a good way. Sorry, Esther. I'm not blaming you, but I saw Esther's here. Woohoo! And it kind of distracted me from my playing. In a good way, Esther. Don't worry. I just wanted to say hello. Right, from the top. Sorry, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. And two more of those. We'll keep going this time, I promise. When I wake up, I know who I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. When I go out, yeah, I know I'm gonna be the man who goes along with you. If I get drunk, well, I know I'm gonna be the man who gets drunk next to you. And if I have out, I know who I'm gonna be the man who's havering to you. But I would walk 500 miles and I would walk 500 more just to be the man who walks 1,000 miles to fall down at your door. When I'm working, yes, I know I'm gonna be the man who's working hard for you. When the money comes in for the work I do, I'm gonna pass almost every penny on to you. When I come home, oh, I know I'm gonna be the man who comes back home to you. And if I grow done, everyone. I'm not sure I got all the words right there, but hopefully you enjoyed it anyway. So that's a pretty epic one, that. I think I might have lost my voice as well halfway through that, which is it's not good at the start of the session, is it, when I'm already losing my voice? It is fine. I'm just being daft, really. So, well, a bit of a raucous one to get us going. So, I hope, thank you. And sorry, Esther, I didn't mean to blame you for me going wrong. I actually hit a wrong chord anyway. Okay, so let's take a look. What have we got for our second song? We're going to have a slight change of pace now, you'll be glad to know. I don't know how warm it is where you are, but it's kind of gone really warm and humid here. Apparently it's going to hit 30 degrees later in the week, which is really exciting. So I probably shouldn't be drinking a hot coffee, but I am, so excuse me a second. Let me know how you got on with that one, guys. Hopefully you really enjoyed that. So yeah, hi Rebecca, hope you're doing well. Fantastic. Oh, everyone's saying hi as well. Fantastic. Okay then, let's do an absolute classic now. So we're gonna go for a little bit of country. Written for John Denver. I think I wrote down who it's from. Oh yeah, Taffy and Bill Danoff wrote this originally, and I didn't realise, but this was originally written with Johnny Cash in mind, which is kind of interesting. So the Danoffs were originally thinking of approaching Johnny Cash with this song, but obviously eventually it went to John Denver. So this isn't one of John Denver's own songs. This was written for him. And ironically, as Karen mentions in her fascinating facts, neither the Danoffs, or it could be Danoffs, let me know, or John Denver had ever been to West Virginia. So it just scanned well with the lyrics and gave that real kind of hometown feeling, which is nice. So, oh, well done, Esther. I'm picturing you did da 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 da. So much fun. And so this song's become like an absolute classic, hasn't it, over the years, kind of having that kind of Midwest vibe going on. This one's in the key of G again, and what I find really interesting is that the chords are very, very similar to the last song. In fact, as I pointed out at the start, the first intro is exactly the same. We've got those 4 G chords all in a row, so very, very similar. Here we've got a slight different order in terms of the chords, because we've got that 6th chord coming in right away in the verse here after the G chord. And the reason that works so beautifully, and you get this in any key, this 6th chord, you hear of these progressions such as a 1-6-2-5, or in this case a 1-6-5-4, real common progression. The reason it works so beautifully is if you have a look at that 6th chord, even though it's a minor chord, it's only 1 note different from the 1 chord. So we're still in the key of G, so G is the 1 chord. So E minor, the 6th chord. Notice there's only 1 note difference. And you can actually take it, you could redo all your fingers like this for it. But remember my little tip, you could even just put that little finger down for the E minor. And that's why it smoothly works beautifully going from that 1 chord to the 6th chord. Then we go to the 5 chord for that tension, exactly the same as the last song. And then notice at the end of the verse we have a little 4 chord, and then we're back to the 1 chord. And that's something that's really, really common, to go 5-4-1 at the end of a progression. It comes back to the 12-bar blues. You know how in the 12-bar blues you often get this kind of feel where we have these chords. It's that kind of, that nice 5-4-1. They call it delayed gratification. Whenever you hit that 5 chord, it wants a resolution of 1. But if we kind of prevent it going back to 1 straight away by playing the change chord, it creates like an even bigger kind of sense of tension. So when you get to the 1 chord, it's really nice. There is a rude way of explaining delayed gratification, as you all know, but I like to think about it as you wake up as a kid on a Sunday morning and you can smell the Sunday roast cooking. And because it takes a couple of hours, that means when you finally get to eat that Sunday roast, it tastes all the sweeter. That's the way I like to think about it. Shell's saying instead of room temperature coffee, you can recommend iced coffee. I think I might try that actually. Especially if I do the version that has a bit of cream and a dash of whiskey. That sounds really nice. That's like a caffeinated cocktail, isn't it? Love it, love it. Hi, Karen. No worries. Hope Karen's planning a journey over for the retreat, which is going to be really exciting. Karen's coming over with her sister, and Karen's putting the songbook together for the retreat, which is really, really exciting. So it's going to be brilliant to all get together this summer. Loads and loads of fun at the end of August. Okay, so let's put these chords together. So we've got the 1 chord, sense of resolution. Second Astola, E minor, touch of melancholy, and that nice change from G. 5 chord for a little bit of tension. Quickly back to the C, and then back to G. And we're going to strum this one with, it's often called the calypso strum, down, down, up, up, down, up, down, down, up, up, down, up. Remember, I like to think phonetically. Walk, 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 run, walk, and running. Walk, run, walk, and running. The difficult thing with this strum that kind of trips up a lot of people is that if you do it the way most people do, you've got these 2 up strums. I'll show you what I mean in slow-mo. Down, down, up, up, down, up. So you've got those 2 ups, and people really trip up on this. So my bit of advice is, if you really struggle with this, if you do a down, down, up, walk, running, okay, do a little kind of windmill after the first up. See what I mean? Because that fills up the time that we need to then go to our next up. See that? Walk, running, I'm running. Walk, running, I'm running. Walk, running, I'm running. Walk, running, I'm running. Really lovely, right? Absolutely fantastic. Oh, it's going to be so, I am starting to get excited about the retreat, by the way, folks. It's going to be really, really fantastic. We've got Peter Luongo this year. We've got Jeff coming back all the way from Hawaii. Sam orders some beautiful classic stuff like she does. And then we've got Lester T. Webb, real name Matt Hicks. He's coming over, and he does some really interesting folk and clawhammer stuff as well. So it's going to be fantastic, which is going to be great. Don't forget, if anyone's interested, we've also got loads of tickets left for the Christmas retreat, because it's still early doors on that one. I think that's December the 10th this year. We're going to have roaring log fires, Father Christmas, Christmas trees, Christmas carols, all that stuff. And I've just announced recently that we've got Christopher Davis Shannon come in, who's a brilliant player and teacher. I'm sure many of you know. And the omnipresent, in a brilliant way, because we all love him, Phil Dolman as well, which is going to be absolutely fantastic. And myself, and a couple of surprises. So Sam, of course, as well for that one. So keep an eye out for tickets for that one and grab them soon. Okay, so that's the verses set out. Now the chorus is really, really simple on this one, because we've got the same chords in a different order. Hi, Indrani. So rather than 1 6 5 4 like we've got in the verses, notice that we've got 1 5 6. Sorry, rather than 1 6 5 4. We've got 1 5 6 4. So it's basically like the 6 and the 5 chords have swapped around. So it's almost the same progression. And we've got 2 measures of each. 1, 2, then the D, which creates a little bit more tension for the E minor that comes next. And the C almost has a touch of sadness there, which is lovely. Again, G, D, delay gratification because we go to the 4 chord, and then back to Fantastic. Now, remember when I was asking about chords earlier that Karen said about that E minor? And that's what is happening in this one. We're going to go to the relative minor in the bridge. It's a really common thing to do. When we go to a bridge, it tends to start with either the 4 chord, which this would be C, G, A, B, C, or it starts with a 6 chord, G, A, B, C, D, E, and that's an E minor. And we call that the relative minor because the E minor scale has all the same notes in it as the G major. Every major key has a minor key which has all the same notes and chords in it. And that's a really common thing to do because when we go to that E minor, remember it's only one note different from G. We've got this E instead of a D. That's the only difference between the two. But because in E minor, it's got that flatted third, that minor feel, it has a touch of sadness to it. So it feels like the song goes somewhere new, which is really lovely. So we've got that E minor for one measure, the tension of the 5 chord, and then you get the resolution to 1. Next line we've got the 4 chord for a little bit of inoffensive variety, the 1 chord. And then we've got 2 types of D. We've got a normal D and then a D7. You can either play a Hawaiian D7 by taking this finger away, or if you prefer, you could go to this D7. Either acceptable, is completely easy, completely good either way. What I'll sometimes do is even this. I'll put that finger down to create the D7, which is nice. And that creates tension, doesn't it? It's kind of tense, even more tension. Then we go again with the E minor. Then an F chord, I'll talk about that in a minute. C, G. And then the 2 different types of 5 chords really drawn out this time. Almost like a cliffhanger. If I pause there, it'd drive everyone mad because we want to go back to Country Roads, which is really lovely. Now, I won't go into too much detail about this because I've actually been doing some reading about it and there's loads of stuff on the internet. And also lots of people are arguing one way or the other. But the flat 7 chord, that just means in the key of G, you'd expect the 7 chord to be an F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. Every key has a certain amount of sharps and flats. But we're playing an F chord rather than an F sharp. So we sometimes call that the flat 7th. But it's also often referred to as the 4 of the 4. That just means the relationship between that F chord and the 4 chord, it's 4 above it. I'll show you what I mean, right? So the 4 chord in the key of G is a C, G, A minor, B minor, C. And then what's the 4 chord in the key of C? C, D minor, E minor, F. And it's a really common chord that a lot of it happens an awful lot in indie music actually, but also in country music and other forms of popular music. And some people argue that it doesn't sound that nice because it's not in the original key. It sounds a little bit uncomfortable or discordant. I think it's really nice. I think it adds a bit of spice. And the reason it works is because any chord that's 4 above the one that follows it tends to sound nice because our ears over the years have got attuned to certain intervals such as fourths and thirds, which we find really, really nice. So that's what's happening on this line here. We've got the 6 chord coming to the 4 of the 4, that F. It does sound a little bit unusual, doesn't it? Which is nice. To the 4 chord, to the 1 chord. So really interesting little passage of chords there, which I think is really, really neat. That's it. Now on the outro, when we do the final chorus, country roads take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, my mama take me home, country roads. When we do that last bit, we just repeat it a few times. Take me home down country roads. So that's just the outro. Take me home, tension of 5, resolution to one. Country roads. Let's do it one more time. Take me home down country roads. Yeah, really nice. Now this one does have a little solo in it that you can have a go at if you want. So we're going to do an instrumental verse after this chorus. It's not too hard to remember, honestly, this one, because it goes verse, chorus, bridge, chorus, and then an instrumental verse and chorus again. Again, similar structure to the last song, which is interesting. So the instrumental verse, of course, you can just strum the chords. That's absolutely fine. So you're just going to strum these chords twice. But if you want to have a go at a solo on this one, we can use some minor and major pentatonics, which sound really, really nice. This is on your scales reference sheets. These are all completely free if anyone wants to download them. You'll find them in the description and in the comments. Hopefully loads of you have downloaded these to your devices over the weeks. And here you'll see lots of different options. We could use full kind of major scales to solo with. But let's keep things simple with the pentatonics. That's just 5 notes that sound really nice in any key. And the cool thing about these ones, I think I just got to go one more page, is that we have 2 shapes for these scales and they fit together beautifully. So the first shape here, it's lucky Indrani's here because she always mentions something when we play this one. I haven't got any dots, so I'm going to tip my ukulele. No dots on the fretboard, but if I tip this way, you can see. We're going to start the G major pentatonic right up here at the 7th fret of the C string. Then notice we go up to the 9th. We come back to 7 again. This time we go to 10, 7, 10. So notice there we've got a G major pentatonic scale. That's G, A, B, D, E. And it's just a G major scale without the 4th and 7th notes. That's C and F sharp. And all of those notes will sound really nice in the key of G. And the reason I mentioned Indrani is because if you play it with a particular rhythm, you get the start of My Girl, right? Which is really, really, really nice. Okay, so we can also pair that together with the E minor pentatonic, these set of notes, which have all the same notes, but just in a different order. So we have the 4th fret of the C string up to 7. There it is, Indrani. And the 5th to 7 and the 5th to 7. This would be like a minor version of My Girl. Right, so 4 to 7, 5 to 7, 5 to 7. And just have a look at those notes. They're all the same, aren't they? Exactly the same notes that are in the G major pentatonic, but just in a different order. And that's why we have these major and relative minor scales with the same notes. It's just kind of how it works in any key. Let's bring Indrani on as well, because she just missed My Girl, My Girl. So if you want to, you could have a little bit of a solo to that. I think I recorded a backing track earlier. Let me just see if I can find it on my iPad. There it is. So you could just have a little noodle. Remember, you don't have to play a million notes a minute. Also remember that it's really nice to just think of phrases, short groups of notes that you play together. Give it a little bit of space, and then another short group of notes that you can add together to create some really sweet little phrases. And you could end up with something like this. Let me just have a little noodle. I'll try and tip my uke so you can see. So you can just use those shapes. That's all I was doing, just those shapes that I taught you. And you can have a little nude or have a little solo on that section. And I think it's such a lovely thing to do when you do a little bit of improvising, because then if you get together with a group of friends or a partner or whoever you like to play with, if you're lucky enough to have someone else that plays ukulele, you could do a little solo on that and it would sound really, really nice. And even if you don't have someone else to play ukulele with, that's fine. I mostly don't nowadays. I do most of my teaching from home. You can play along with Kanikapila. That's the whole point. Okay, so let's give it a go then, shall we, guys? I'll keep the chords on screen. Let me just sit up so you can see what I'm doing with my fingers, and we'll give it a try. I'll just bring up the lyrics a second. So, nice, gentle calypso strum on this. Try not to go too fast and speed up. I'll try and keep time for you. Let me just move this. There we go. Fantastic. Okay, really nice and relaxing. Oh, by the way, if you want to make the intro a little bit more interesting, I won't bang on for too long, don't worry. You can add some sus4 chords by putting your little finger on, fret 3, like that. Or you can turn a G into a sus2 by lifting this one off. So you know how we've got 4 measures of G while the slide guitar plays on the original? You can practice lifting this one on and off. Or you can practice putting this one down. And you could even combine them together. Okay, so if you want to, on those first, on that intro, the first 4 measures, have a little play with those suspended chords. I'll just do a G chord all the way through that, because otherwise it might confuse things. Yeah, Travis picking would sound really nice with this one, Karen. Yeah, absolutely. So you could do something like pick the G string. I'm using a G chord here. And then maybe pick the C string and the A string at the same time. And then do a little roll, G, E, C, A. That would be really nice. I'll do that again. So you pick the G string with your thumb, pinch these 2. And then just any 4 strings in a row. I like to go top 1, third one down, second one down, bottom. So G, E, C, A in terms of those. So you get. That's really nice, isn't it? So in the intro, your verses. Almost heaven. I forgot what the chord was. West Virginia. Blue Ridge Mountain, Shenandoah River. So you can have a little experiment with that. I think that's a great idea, Karen. But if you're not sure about finger picking, just give it a strum with me. Nice clip. So let's give it a go then, guys. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Here we go. Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is old there, older than the trees, younger than the mountains, growing like a country roads, take soloing, just start to bring it to a close here. And here we go with a final chorus. Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, mountain mama, take me home. Country roads, repeat those last two chords. Take me home down country roads. One more time. Take me home, that's slow, down country roads. Fantastic. Well done, everyone. That's a great one, isn't it? Fantastic. There's a really nice group near us in the Forest of Dean, and they have like an open mic night, and someone always sings that one. It's like become a bit of a ukulele classic as well as just a classic song, which is really, really nice. So lovely. Another thing you can do on that one, which is really interesting, let me know in the comments if you've heard Brother Iz's version. So Brother Iz, that's Israel Kamakaviva Ole, who is the Hawaiian, brilliant Hawaiian musician, sadly no longer with us, who wrote the album Facing Future, which had Somewhere Over the Rainbow on it, his lovely version, White Sandy Beach, that lovely. Love that song so much. But it also had his version of Take Me Home Country Roads, but obviously all the places are places on the island of Oahu, where he spent much of his childhood. He actually was born on the island of Niihau, which is like one of the outlying islands that tourists aren't really meant to visit. But he spent much of his youth in Oahu, and he wrote his version. And if you want to do Brother Iz's version, all you need to do to change it is literally this simple. Is instead of the calypso strum, you know, our down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. We just replace that with an island strum, which is just our walk, running, running, walk, running, 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 down, down, up, down, up, down, up. And you get Brother Iz's version. I can't remember all the words, but there's Mount Kala, Mahaka, and there's bits about eating fish cakes by the sea, isn't there? Eating fish cakes by the sea. So if you haven't heard his version, do look it up. It's really sweet. It's got like a real kind of what they often call a Hawaiian feel to it, just like a cross between Jamaican reggae and then that island feel of Hawaiian strumming, which is really nice. So check it out. Okay, before we do two more, just let me remind you again of a couple of things. That remember, we're alternating these every Monday with our Melodic Mondays, where I teach you how to play melody style, one note at a time, which is really, really, really lovely. Oh, Indrani, yeah, I've got it on the CD. I've always wanted to find an actual LP version, but I've never found one yet. I think Mountain Apple Core, who did the album, did release it on vinyl at some point, but I love it. It reminds me of kind of my earliest days of teaching, when I was teaching in adult education and to kids, and in between all my clients, what I do is I'd stick it on the car stereo, and it really relaxed me and got me in the ukulele vibe, which is really nice. So every time I listen to Facing Future, it brings back so many happy memories, and it's really, really, really lovely. So a couple of other things. Remember, we've got our high G or low G ukulele tuning lesson coming up a week on Wednesday. For some reason, I didn't put a date on the thumbnail, but that's a week on Wednesday. If you're ever not sure, just check out the live lessons tab on my website, and you'll find all these. mattsteadukulele.com. And also don't forget that on the website we've got all of the Kanikapilas I ever did archived, And we've also got all of the live lessons and Melodic Mondays as well. So if you ever miss one, or you want to do it again, or you just want to watch it as a replay so you can pause it and things, just head to mattsteadukulele.com, click on live lessons, it's all there. New Beatles one, remember, Let It Be. And also let me just mention, because we're talking about the islands, if you want to play Caribbean songs with us on the actual Caribbean Sea, next February, which is really, really exciting, we've got the next ukulele cruise. Get in touch with Donna, who's organising it. There are still some places available. It's going to be absolutely wonderful. And this time we're sailing from Fort Lauderdale again, but this time we're going to St. Kitts, Antigua, Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic, which is going to be loads of fun, and then back to Fort Lauderdale. And you get to spend your time with me, and when you get bored of me, you can go and enjoy the rest of the cruise. So lots of fun stuff happening there. I'm also doing a couple of things this summer as well as the retreat. I'm playing at Shrookfest first weekend of August, so if anyone wants to come and see me live, do come and see us there, and give us a bit of support, because I get scared when I'm playing live, even after like 30 years of doing it. You'd think I'd be all right by now, wouldn't you? Okay, let's have a look. Talking about playing for 30 years, this is a song by Oasis. So when I first got into music, I was massively into kind of all the Britpop stuff, so Blur, Pulp, Oasis, and me and Sharon, we got to go and see Pulp at their what do you call it? I was trying to think of a word for like reforming. What's the word? Reunion. Why can't I think of that word? We got to see Pulp on their reunion tour this Sunday, and it was magnificent. If you get a chance to see them live, it's well worth it. They're incredible. We were talking about it. I've seen them many, many times. Sharon's seen them 27 times. They're her favourite band. But they were immense at the weekend. Absolutely amazing. And their new album, More, is really fantastic. It's kind of like grown-up Pulp, which I really like. It's super, super neat. But yeah, but I was really into all that stuff. Now, this was off the single for Stand By Me. You know, stand by me, nobody knows the way it's gonna be, dum dum dum. That song, I think it's being used in a bank commercial now, that song, funny enough. But Oasis, when they released their first two albums, definitely Maybe and What's the Story, Morning Glory, and on to Be Here Now, their third album, they always included 3 B-sides with every single, because at that time CD was the most popular format. So you'd have the single, in this case it was Stand By Me, and then you'd have 3 B-sides. And a lot of bands at the time would just put like kind of songs that they didn't particularly love on there. They put like rehashes of old songs, they do live versions. But Oasis, they always had 4 really good songs on every single to make it like an EP. And often the B-sides were better than the A-sides. Eventually they released an album called, what was it called? The Master Plan, which has a collection of B-sides off the first few albums, which is a really terrific album. Anyway, this is one of the ones that Noel sings. And of course, Oasis are on a big reunion soon, aren't they? I didn't actually manage to get a ticket, but they are starting, I think, in about 3 weeks' time, which is really, really exciting. Now, this one's quite unusual in that if you have a look at the chords, we've got the 1 chord as you would expect, yet again in the key of G. I didn't plan it this way, it just so happens that all of these work beautifully in the key of G. Now, instead of going to the 4 chord, which you think it might do, kind of like this, that would be the classic folk thing to do. Well, what Noel did is he, rather than going to the 4 chord, he goes to the 2 chord, which should be an A minor. Because in any key, you don't have to remember this, but if you find it interesting, it's worth thinking about. In any key, the 1st, 4th and 5th chords are major chords. So in the key of G, that's the G, the C and the D. The 2 and the 3 chords are minors, A minor, B minor, and the 6 actually. And then the 7 chords are diminished. So long story short, that 2nd chord, G, A minor, you'd expect it to be an A minor. And Noel's decided to play it rather than that as an A major. So A minor, A major. Notice it's a brighter sounding chord because it hasn't got that flattened third. An A minor has a C, whereas an A major has a C sharp. Okay. And the reason that works is that it's not too many notes away from lots of the notes that come up in the G chord. Okay, because in the G, let's have a look at what notes we've got here on A major. We've got an A. That's really close to both the B and the G of the G chord, right? We've got an E. Well, that's only one note away from the F sharp in the G chord. Long story short, it works really nicely even though it's out of key. So let's have a look at playing that. We're just going to do a standard calypso strum, just like we did in the last song. We're going to keep this really gentle and laid back. G, A, G, A, G, reason Noel did that, if you're kind of interested, is that on guitar you can play a G and an A just by moving the shape up and down. So I think that's probably the reason he uses that chord rather than the 4 chord. And have a look at this. This is so much of the song because that's the intro, the outro, the verses and the interlude. All right, so they're all just this G to A. So if you're ever not sure what to strum, this is a safe bet. It's much of the song. Intro, outro, verses and interlude. So for example, a verse will sound like this. Let me come in and close cam. Hate the way that you've taken back everything you've given to me, and the way that you'll always say it's nothing to do with me. And you keep that going for another one. Different versions of many men will come before you came. All their questions were similar, the answer's just the same. Really nice, right? And then we go to this beautiful pre-chorus on the 4 chord, which I really, really love. Oh, thanks, Leslie. Say hi to Al for us. Hi, Al, if you're listening in. Fantastic. So the pre-chorus, remember I said when we go to a new section like the bridge, we tend to use the 4 chord or the relative minor. Well, here we got the 4 chord. And it builds kind of tension just by staying on it for 4 whole measures. So that would sound like this. Gonna get me a motor car, maybe a Jaguar, maybe a plane or day of fame. Back to the 1 chord for the resolution. Then notice in this, the second measure along of this line, both chords are for half a measure, 2 beats each. So this this second line will sound like this. G for 4. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, remember my trick, pivoting on that second finger. And then we go back to C again. Gonna be a million years, so can you take me there? Wanna be wild, cause my life's so tame. We go to G and A. Hey. And that's just the chorus, the interludes basically again, just that G to A. Really, really simple. Interestingly, Noel did become a millionaire. In fact, he probably was by this point because Creation Records that they released their records on, before them they'd had bands like Teenage Fan Club and who else? Trying to think. My Bloody Valentine, you know. They were kind of mildly successful as a label, but when they signed Oasis, it kind of they went stratospheric, didn't they? And Alan McGee from Creation did actually buy Noel a brown Rolls Royce, but Noel couldn't drive, so he had this Rolls Royce just sat around for years and years. All right, for some, eh? I remember reading an interview where he's learning to drive, so I expect he can now. Okay, Shao, you know you said cold coffee would be good. This has kind of turned into iced coffee now. Okay, So that's the kind of choruses and the pre-chorus, etc. Right. Let me just go into a full chorus so you can hear it. Da 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 da, millionaire, so can you take me there? Wanna be wild, 'cause my life's so tame. So choruses here. Here am I, going nowhere on a train. Then again. Here am I, growing older in the rain. And then just G to A again. Hey, hey. So really simple in terms of that. If you wanted to do any licks, kind of just interesting little bits of kind of flurries and things like that, you can use the G major pentatonic or the E minor on this again. Will sound absolutely fine. But the original doesn't really have anything like that. So we're just gonna play it through really nice and calmly. Really enjoy this one, and then we will have another chance to solo in the fourth and final song tonight in just a minute. Oh, I know, Indrani. I know it's naughty. It might even be decaf actually, because Sharon made it for me. So. She sometimes makes me a decaf so I don't go loopy. Okay, let's give it a try from the top then. Okay, I'll just stay here, make sure I've got lyrics up. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, G. Keep that going round and round. Hate the way that you've taken back everything you've given to me, and the way that you always say it's nothing to do with me. I really like that one. I think Oasis B-sides are really, often they're better than the A-sides, like I say. One of my favourites is Half the World Away, which was ended up being the theme to the royal family. I don't know if I think a lot of you would know the royal family, especially the Brits here. But yeah, amazing comedy written by Caroline Aherne. Again, sadly, no longer with us. Seems that a lot of people have passed recently. Yeah, but it's a really beautiful song as well, which is worth looking out for. And everyone thinks, thanks, Fran. Everyone kind of thinks of Oasis as, you know, that kind of bad boy and Liam like brawling it out and all that sort of stuff. But if you listen to Noel's B-sides, Oasis B-sides are often really quite beautiful, and I think that's no exception, which is really lovely. Now, every week we have, or every fortnight now, because of Melodic Mondays, Karen runs a poll on Facebook where you guys get to choose a favourite song from the Kanikapila vaults. So it could be anything. Karen will choose sort of 4 or 5 options, and then you guys vote for it. If you're not already a member of the Facebook group, check it out. Just go on Facebook, and look up Learn Ukulele with Matt, Uke Students Hangout. And it's a fantastic place where we have monthly challenges. We upload videos of ourselves playing, do works in progress, ask questions. It's a really nice place to hang out. And that's where you'll find the polls as well for Kanikapila. Plus, Karen will do a kind of monthly plan of what's going on, which is fantastic as well. Even I use that sometimes if I've forgotten to write something in my diary. I think, what were we doing this Wednesday? So yeah, really useful. And this one was your choice basically for this fortnight. Turn. I was going to say by the Byrds, but obviously it was Pete Seeger originally. And interestingly, again, you're reading the fascinating facts that his record label, Pete Seeger, they wanted him to write a song that wasn't a protest song because that was how he made his name. Think of Pete Seeger, you know, contemporary of Woody Guthrie, and then John Lennon. In fact, if any John Lennon. And then Bob Dylan. And if anyone's seen the Bob Dylan biopic that was released recently, absolutely fantastic. Pete Seeger features quite heavily in it because he really introduced him to that kind of folk scene in Greenwich Village. So Pete Seeger was asked to write a song that wasn't a protest song. So even though he wasn't religious, he took words from the Bible and he put them to music, and that's how Turn came out, basically. Ended up really famously being covered by the Byrds, and their version is the one that I'm referenced here because it gives it a nice kind of lovely jangly tone to it, which works for ukuleles, which is nice. Oh, thanks, Leslie. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, if you give the video a thumbs up on the video itself rather than the live chat, it really helps with the Facebook algorithms. I'm starting to work out how to play the algorithms now, and we've got thanks for everyone that has subscribed to my YouTube. I went over 20,000 for the first time this weekend, which was really exciting. In fact, I was so excited about it. This is really sad. Me and the kids and Sharon, we went to McDonald's on the way back from a day out, and we had the live counter up, and it was on like 19,990, and we watched it tick up one by one. It's really exciting. But it wasn't until just before we reached our door on the way back I hit 20,000. So thank you for all your support, guys. It really means a lot. So thank you. Okay, so yeah, that is such a good movie, isn't it? Leslie, I think it was when you visited and you were telling me that I must see it. It really kind of got me to finally watch it, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. Is it Timothy Chalamet? I can never say his name. The guy who plays Dylan is absolutely fantastic. It really is like young Dylan himself. It's brilliant. Okay, right. Enough of me babbling like a brook. Is quite right. Oh, thanks, Linda. Thank you. We should have a little party or something. So this one is the first song tonight that we've got that isn't in the key of G. This one's in the key of C. But we can still use all the same tricks. Remember, counting on our hands. C is our 1 chord now. D minor would be 2, and it does come in here. E minor would be 3, F would be 4, our change chord, G is 5, our tension chord, A minor is 6, our melancholy minor, and then we would have a B diminished, basically. Oh, Chalamet. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Indrani. Timothy Chalamet. Cool. So that's kind of the chords that come up in the key of C. Let's look at what we've got in the song and why. So we start on the 1 chord, and you've seen every song tonight has started on the 1 chord. They don't always, but it's the most common thing to happen, because that kind of sets you off on your journey. Then we've got the next most common chord, F, which works really nicely because it just creates some change, remember? We call that the change chord. Then we've got a sad chord, the E minor. The 3 chord in any song is the saddest sounding chord of all. But because it goes quickly to G, it doesn't create too much sadness. It kind of gets resolved to the 5 chord. And the reason that works is really cool because C to F is easy. They share a few notes. And then F to E minor, they're only 1 note away, right? You're going 4 to 3. And then remember what I was saying earlier, E minor is only 1 note away from G, right? So that works beautifully. And then the G creates a tension that makes you want to go back to 1. So 1, 4, 3, 5, 1. So 1, 4, 3, 5. Yeah. Is that Bob Dylan, Fran, or Timothy Chalamet? I think they're probably both very rich by now, aren't they? I love Bob Dylan though. He is the only musician to ever win the Nobel Prize. Isn't that cool? So C, F, E minor, and G. Now Leslie said she could never memorise all the chords without a cheat sheet. I kind of get it with this song because there's a lot of chords actually, isn't there, Leslie? So I'll let you off. I'll let you off for this one. It's absolutely fine. You could always write the chords in the lyric sheet if you want to. It's absolutely fine. But just think about if you play it through a few times and just see if you can memorise it. So C, F, E minor, G. And what you could do is just keep looping that around. 1, 4, 3, 5. 1, 4, 3, 5. Notice we haven't got long on each chord, it's only half a measure. So I'm just going to play a walk running on each. That's down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, C, down, up, F, down, up, E minor, down, up, G, down, up. Okay. And then at the end, it's almost like the song kind of reverses itself. We've got 4 to 1. And then we've got a classic 2-5-1. Again, a really common jazz progression. D minor, G, C. So that's kind of similar to a song we did earlier as well, isn't it? D minor, G, and C. Okay. Now, it's really interesting you should say that, Indrani, because I've had this conversation. I think me and Leslie were talking about it, weren't we, Leslie, when you visited? I was talking to Sharon about this. Sharon's my wife. You guys all know that probably anyway, but I was talking to Sharon about it as well. I've got this theory that it's not a generational thing. A lot of my students that say to me, you know, I'm getting on in years, not all of my students are by any means, but they say, you know, I'm getting on in years, so I'm becoming forgetful and I'm not able to have that attention span. But it's really interesting. I'm seeing it with the children that I've taught as well, and I'm seeing it with people, you know, kind of middle-aged and around that kind of age as well. And I think we've become so used to digesting things in small chunks. Think about television programs now, like comedies tend to be 20 minutes. Texts, everything's shorter, isn't it, and abbreviated. Tweets, you know, you only get a couple of lines. And there's been some research, interestingly, on the internet. I won't bore you too much, but people won't even read a paragraph of text. if you write a paragraph in a leaflet, people would just kind of skim the top and the bottom sentences because we got so used to doing everything in small chunks. And I think that's why we find it hard to kind of learn things by heart and pay attention. Don't take that personally, because I include myself in that. I think our brains are just hardwired to not remember things anymore. And you see it, like a lot of bands now, you'll see they've got iPads in front of them. Even really, really kind of well-known popular bands, I've seen them use iPads for lyrics and stuff. So don't sweat it too much. But if you can learn some of these processes, the more you do them, the more it kind of makes sense and you'll be able to remember it off by heart. The other thing is test yourself as well. Sometimes just kind of see if you can not look at the sheet. You can have it in front of you as a crib sheet, but see if you could play a couple of verses without looking. And sometimes when you test yourself like that, it's quite surprising how much you can do. But I will say though, this one has a lot of chord changes very quickly, so don't sweat it. And yeah, totally, Fran, totally. You're definitely right, definitely. Yeah, I kind of think about it like a memory card in Drani. I often think, like, I used to think the little USB pens, mine's full up now, so I've got to delete something before I can remember anything new. Okay, right, anyway, that's the verses. Now let me put them together really slowly for you so you can see how it works with the lyrics for this one. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn. At a time to every purpose under heaven. All right, so that's how the verses work. They're quite kind of thick and fast, aren't they? These chords, they change quite quickly, which is really, really, really nice. Now, when you get to this C chord at the end, if you want to, you can turn it into a C sus4. Sounds really nice. A C sus4 just takes the third note in the key of C, which is E, C, D, E, which is this string here, and it turns it into a fourth. So rather than an E, it adds an F to it. That's all a sus4 means. And it sounds really beautiful. It creates this nice movement. And this is what the Byrds do when they get to this chord. So when I do the bottom line, I'll often do this. So I'm doing off, on, off. Just sounds really lovely. And the end C at the end of that line just means you just let that C ring out and leave it hanging. Let me do that again. I'll slow it down a bit. I went a bit fast last time. 1, 2. Come in on turn, turn, because the first two words are just pick-up words. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn. A time to every purpose under heaven. Isn't that nice? And then you would go to a verse. Now the verses start on the 5 chord to create some tension. A time to be born, a time to die. Resolution. A time to da 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 da. Notice that tension resolution, 5 to 1. And then this bit, just to help you memorise it, is it's the same as the end of the chorus. F and C and D minor and G and back to C. Let's break that down one more time just to really show you how it's easier to memorise than you'd think. So verses, just think 5 to 1, G to C 3 times. Whenever we're finishing a section, whether it be the chorus or the verse, just remember these 4 chords. F, C, D minor, G. They even rhyme. F, C, D minor, G, C. Again, so if you think about it, if you really break it down, all you've got to remember for the verse is G and C 3 times, and then you hit that nice kind of little kind of collection of chords. And then the choruses are C, F, E minor, G, and you've just got to do that twice. And then again, this bit, this line here is exactly the same as the bit at the end of the verse. All right, just helps to kind of memorize it. Let's try one chorus and then verse to give it a go, and then we'll put the whole thing together. Here we go. 1, 2. Oh yeah, come in after to everything. 1. To everything, turn, turn, turn. There is a season, turn, turn. And a time to every purpose under heaven. Now a verse. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. Okay, and then we would go again to another chorus, and we just keep going round and round like that, basically. Now, if you want to solo over this one, because we are going to do an instrumental chorus and verse, you'll see up here. Otherwise, it just goes chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, and then we do an instrumental chorus, verse, and then chorus, verse again. So just go, just think, basically the entire song goes that to that, that to that, that to that, over and over and over again. Now, if you want to do a little bit of soloing on this one, we can use those cool tricks that we've done in loads of Kanikapilas, where we use the C major pentatonic scale and the A minor. Because we're in the key of C, C will work and A minor will work as well. And notice we've got it here, this C major pentatonic simplified. First thing, I know I've banged on about this a million times, but just in case anyone's not done Kanikapila before, notice that on the A string we've got open A, then we've got the 3rd fret and all of your dots, so 5th fret, 7th fret, 10th fret and 12th fret. So if you want to do a really simple solo, just hit your dots on the A string. And then you can also hit all the dots on the E string with one exception, that C note. You've got to play the 8th fret rather than the 7th. So you can do E, G, A, all your dots again. Only this time, head past the dot for those notes, okay? And then finally, you can also think about it as a little mini scale down here with an open C, 2nd fret for D, open E, 3rd fret for G, open A, and open C. And all the, just so you know, just to explain it, the boxes with the red marking, the squares, that just means we're playing the root note. All right. The reason it's hollow on this string is because that's an open C, basically. And then the white hollow notes are just your open strings, so you can just hit them. And then the black ones are just the rest of the scale, basically. So you could kind of have a little noodle around on this one. Let me just see if I can find a backing track. I think I've got one. So something like... That was all just the A string. Okay. I could come down to here. So you can have a little play around there if you want to. See what you can come up with for a little kind of a little bit of an instrumental in the solo, which would be really nice. Okay, let's have a go at this one then. So I'll always hang around for a bit at the end to see if there's any questions or anything. But just before we go, just in case anyone signs off after the final song, just want to say a massive thanks for all your support again. It means a lot. Every single one of you that tunes in, it really means a lot to me to know that you're here and you're interested in what I do. And I love the sense of community that we've built. So thank you guys. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to support me, it doesn't have to be financial. You can give me a virtual tip in my jar, which you'll find is the same link for the sheets and everything. But even if it's not financial, if you wanted to help out, just word of mouth is so important to me. So on the where we have the links for the sheets and everything, right at the bottom you'll see one which says share, and if you click that, you can just share my page on Facebook or Twitter or whatever with other people. And that's really helpful for me in terms of finding new people. So thank you guys. So, big thanks. Hope you've had fun. Let's do one last song. Come on. Let's harness our inner 60s. We can do this. Here we go. Oh, let me get the lyrics up so I know what I'm singing. If it looks like I'm like randomly looking off into the distance, it's just because I've got another separate iPad over here with the lyrics on. That's what I'm looking at. I can never remember those off by heart. So see, I can't remember everything either. Okay, here we go. From the top then. Remember that chorus. Here we go. Come in on turn. To everything, turn. There is a season, turn. A time to every purpose under heaven. Now a verse. A time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to reap, a time to kill, a time to heal, a time to laugh, a time to weep. Chorus. To everything, turn. There is a season, turn. A time to every purpose under heaven. Another verse, G to C. A time to build up, a time to break down, a time to dance, a time to mourn, a time to cast away stones, a time to gather stones together. To everything, turn. There is a season, turn. A time to every purpose under heaven. A time of love, a time of hate, a time of war, a time of peace, a time that you may embrace, a time to refrain from embracing. Try a solo. To everything, turn. There is a season, turn. And a time for every purpose under heaven. A time to gain, a time to lose, a time to rent, a time to sow, a time for love, a time for hate, a time for peace. I swear it's not too late. Well done, everyone. Fantastic. Don't those sus chords sound lovely on that? I think it's just great, and it really has that feel of that kind of that David Crosby and kind of what was his name, Roger McGuinn's kind of nice jangly 12-string Rickenbacker. Apparently Pete Seeger was really happy with the Byrds version, and he really loved that kind of jangly 12-string sound, which was super special and super nice. Leslie's just said it seems like a picking tune to me. Yeah, I think on this one, the only thing, Leslie, is that you probably it's quite quick in terms of the chord changes, so you probably wouldn't want anything too complex. Let me just have a look. 'Cause that's a good question, Leslie. Thinking about this, let's see how we could pick this. Yeah, I think for this one. Thanks, Charlene. Thank you. Really appreciate it. It's nice to see you again. I think on this one, for picking, if anyone wants to have a go, I would keep it dead simple and do the inside-outside pick. That's C, E, G, A in terms of strings. Middle 2, outside 2. And you can count inside, outside. Notice I can just use my thumb and first finger here. The nice thing about this, and the reason I chose that rather than something more sophisticated like a Travis bit, is because it keeps it simple and the chords are already quite tricky. So if you keep that going, it's not too bad with the chords. You get this. That's quite cool, isn't it? Remember on those fast flurries of notes, like the end of the verse? You might find it really difficult to hit the chord in time because of the changes, so feel free to hit that open A. Don't feel you've got to hit everyone perfectly clean, because it's quite a speedy thing, so I think that will work really nicely. So yeah, that's lovely. Every other picking pattern, G, E, C, A. Yeah, that's the same rhythm, isn't it? That bum 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 bum, but then you're doing a that works really nicely as well. You could use those same 2 fingers, Karen. Good thinking for sure. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Leslie. Well, let us know how you got on, guys. If you've got any questions, I'll hang around for just a minute. And then remember, next Monday, we're back to our Melodic Mondays. So this is where we're going to learn a melody, which should be really fun and really beautiful as well. Now, as I say, the next Kanikapila will be a special for Brian, in tribute to Brian Wilson. So we're going to have lots of songs from the Beach Boys. Let me show you. I did some nice generated some nice illustrations earlier, which I'm going to put into the sheets. I wonder if I can bring them up just to show you. Oh, thanks, Esther. This was my this was made by Pat McGowan in America. He's a brilliant maker. I've noticed a lot of people playing his ukes recently. James Hill uses a Pat McGowan, and so does trying to think, Elizabeth Pfeiffer, I noticed, has been using one as well recently, which is nice. So yeah, it's got a real kind of beefy tone. My one's quite unusual because it's a smaller body. It's still a tenor scale, but the body's not as small as a concert, but not quite as big as his usual tenors as well, which is quite interesting. Oh, here we go. Let's bring these up. So I'm gonna. It's gonna be slightly melancholy in a way, because it's so sad that Brian's passed away. So that's him playing his piano, and then this is my favourite one. This actually makes me quite melancholy to see this one. Of him in the 60s. So we're going to have a special to Brian Wilson next Kanikapila, celebrating all of his music and him as a person. There's the Beach Boys. I like on this one that Mike Love is looking a bit grumpy. He's the second one along. Mike Love could be an interesting character, couldn't he? Oh, hi Dave. Hi David. I hope you're doing well. You lucked all the way through. That's cool. Oh, thank you. Yeah, see you on Wednesday. Remember, it's a week Wednesday, isn't it? I think, Frank, because I think it's next week for the live lesson. Let me check, or is it this week? Yeah, next week for the live on the Wednesday, which would be fabulous. Hopefully that means I've got a bit of time to do that Beatles lesson for you all, the Let It Be fingerstyle, which should be good. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to love you and leave you. Enjoy the sunshine. It's going to get sizzling hot in Europe if you're here, isn't it? So enjoy it for sure. Karen, I'll send you an email, but I was thinking we'll postpone the poll if that's all right, because I think I really want to do like 4 whole Brian songs really. So yeah, let's postpone it for a fortnight for that one, and then we'll do that for the poll for the next one. Cool. All right, guys. So I will see you hopefully, if not before, next Monday for our next Melodic Mondays. Take care, everyone. Stay safe, and I will see you soon. Much love.